Namaskar. This is Akhilesh Bhargava. Welcome to Tit-Bits on Business and Finance with me. Today, let's discuss two different perceptions about the present state of the Indian economy, and then let's analyze what do they add up to in terms of the real state of the current economy as we experience it on a day-to-day basis. The first perception is that of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Mr. Modi, while addressing the annual convention of FICCI, the industry body, says that India has left behind a rocky year. He was referring to the scenario where the Indian economy has been COVID afflicted and has been crisis ridden. He says that that rocky year has now been left behind. He then says that the emerging economic indicators in the economy are extremely encouraging and that recovery of the Indian economy has been much faster than was expected. Mr. Modi then strongly defended the reform laws and he said that such reforms are a part of the government's efforts to unshackle every sector of the economy. He then mentioned that despite the economy being pandemic ridden, despite the economy being in a crisis because of COVID, yet India has had record inflows of FDI and FPI in this year. The inflows of foreign direct investment have been at $30 billion as of October, and FPI as of November has been at 62,000 crores, which is a record of all sorts. He said that they certainly say and show that the Indian economy has been on a much improved footing. This was the perception of Prime Minister Modi on the state of the Indian economy. Let's take another perception, and that is of Nomura, Japan. Nomura in its report says that in calendar year 2021, India's GDP will become the fastest growing in Asia. In Nomura's estimates, India's GDP will grow by 9.9% in the coming calendar year. And against that, it says China's GDP will grow by 9% and that of Singapore will grow by 7.5%. Thus, India becomes the fastest growing economy in Asia in the next calendar year. Nomura further says that in the March quarter of the coming year, India's economy will contract by 1.2%. But then in the subsequent quarter, which is June 2021, India's economy will bounce back with a growth rate of 32.4%. And that's merely because of the low base effect in the comparative quarter in 2020. Nomura expresses concern on the recovery that has happened so far. It says that so far and onwards, India's growth rate or recovery has not been V-shaped, but it has been K-shaped. The formal sector has been rising, growing much faster, and growth and improvement in the informal sector has been much slower, which is a matter of concern according to Nomura. For Nomura, the K-shaped recovery is a matter of concern. With the informal sector not improving as fast as the formal sector, Nomura says that India will witness a jobless recovery, a situation where recovery will take place, but jobs are not going to add in the economy, unemployment will continue. According to Nomura, a jobless recovery in India will lead to low per capita income. It will lead to rising inequality. It will lead to build-up of social tensions, and because of that, the government will be compelled to spend on populist schemes in an increasing way, which is not going to be good for growth. Nomura then cautions against the rising NPAs in India, and it says that instead of investing further, borrowing and investing further, corporates are preferring to deleverage. They are preferring to repay their loans. They are not willing to take further loans. In other words, because of that, growth in the economy is certainly going to slow down. It is good to hear these kind of positive, optimist perceptions. The Prime Minister's perception is clearly optimistic. In the case of Nomura, the optimism is that in 2021, India will witness a recovery of sorts. To us, the state of the real economy is reflected in the ability of corporates to manage their cash flows and repay their loans. If borrowers are able to get robust and strong cash flows and they repay their loans, to us, it means that the economy is improving. To us, the real economy is reflected on bank balance sheets and the health of the banking sector. It is when bank balance sheets are strong that you realize that the underlying economy has been doing good, and that is why the bank loans are getting repaid on time. And so, let us look at the state of India's banking sector, the health of India's banking sector as per recent reports. Reserve Bank of India has already mentioned much earlier that it expects that NPAs in the economy could almost double in the coming years. We now have another report of McKinsey and Company. McKinsey and Company in its recent report says that banks in India are likely to take a hit of 12 lakh crores in the coming years because of COVID. Out of this 12 lakh crores, 6.7 lakh crores will be losses suffered by banks on account of bad loans, and 5.5 lakh crores is expected to be lost revenues of banks. That's quite a grim picture that McKinsey and Company paints as far as the banking sector of India is concerned. McKinsey says that COVID has afflicted the real economy in India, and banks are also afflicted by this kind of economy. And it is not just banks, it says, even other sectors are afflicted, and banks are no exception. According to McKinsey, the hit sectors because of this are MSME, consumer lending, auto loans, and also the demand for loans is suffering because of the state of the economy. Ultimately, banks are going to take a hit of 12 lakh crores according to McKinsey and Company. What McKinsey and Company says about the state of India's banking sector is further supported and corroborated by Shri Abhijit Banerjee, the latest Nobel laureate of Indian origin. Mr. Banerjee says that banks in India are in a zombie state. He says that Indian banks are half dead because of so much of bad debts that they are carrying on their balance sheets. He further says that if you examine carefully, you will notice that Indian banks are in the red. Their health is bad. They have been incurring losses. That's quite a grim picture of banks in India, which is being painted by Mr. Banerjee, and that's a reflection of the state of the Indian economy. Even Moody's confirms that. Moody's says that NPAs in the auto, MSME and household sector are going to keep rising, especially in the next 12 months. And that's because the economy is in a weak situation, and that hurts the ability of the borrowers to repay their money. So, if you look at banks as mirroring the state of the economy, then we are talking about a grim situation. That's what McKinsey says. That's what Abhijit Banerjee says. That's what Moody says. What is the larger picture that comes out of these two perceptions, and what do they add up to? The first one, of course, is we would agree with the Prime Minister. FDI is certainly good for the country. Rising FDI is even better. But if you look at the situation today, we see a disconnect between the real economy and the FDI figures in real terms. The real economy is witnessing a slowdown in demand, confidence missing, jobs missing, investment missing. And thus, while the FDI is rising, it is not completely a correct barometer of the state of the Indian economy. The second picture that emerges according to us is what Nomura says, that in the second quarter of calendar year 2021, India's economy will grow by 32.4% is merely a mathematical situation. It is because in June 2020, where we witnessed a contraction of 23.9%, that we are witnessing now this kind of a growth rate of 32.4% in June 2021. It's just a mathematical reality and not really an economic reality. What is a real economic reality? What is the real situation? The real situation can be very easily understood. Let's take financial year 2020 as the base year, as the zero year. That is 31st March 2020. That's the zero year. 31st March 2021, the Indian economy would have contracted by about 10%. So compared to 2020, in 2021, we would be at a situation where our economy has contracted by 10%. And then in financial year 2022, the economy has grown by 10%. The net result is that from zero, we went to minus 10 and then we got back plus 10. The net effect is zero base. It is not going to result in any kind of an economic growth. In 2022, if India's economy grows by 10%, then we have just restored the state of the economy as it was there in the base year of 2020, a zero base situation according to us. That's where the situation lies, and those are the challenges of the Indian economy at present. This is Akhilesh Bhargava signing off till we meet again. Namaskar.
Now be the first to know about the latest updates on our new news app. Go on your Android or iOS, search for HW News Network. Download our app, choose the language you prefer to get updates in, and be up to date with the latest news.
If you like this video, please share it, and we would love to hear your comments in the comments section down here. Also, please do like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter to get minute-to-minute news updates. For more such shows and videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel.